In 2022, an underwater ROV equipped with 4K cameras penetrated deeper inside the Titanic wreck than any previous expedition. The footage it captured 12,500 feet below the Atlantic Ocean shows something that's making oceanographers deeply uncomfortable. The ship is collapsing faster than anyone predicted. And the interior isn't just deteriorating, it's becoming something unrecognizable. The drone entered through the grand staircase opening, descended into the ship's interior, and what it found inside isn't just decay, it's structural collapse, bacterial colonies consuming metal at accelerated rates, and rooms that are essentially underwater tombs perfectly preserved by the crushing pressure and near-freezing temperatures. This is what the drone actually captured, why the footage is so disturbing, and why experts say the Titanic has maybe 20 years left before it disappears completely into rust and sediment. The ROV remotely operated vehicle is called Alvin, operated by Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution. It's designed to withstand 6,000 psi of pressure at the Titanic's depth. Previous expeditions could only film the exterior or peer through openings. This drone went inside. The drone navigated through corridors on B-deck, where first-class passengers stayed. What you see in the footage is simultaneous preservation and destruction. Wooden furniture is gone, consumed by wood-eating bacteria decades ago. But metal bed frames remain, covered in rust stalactites called rusticles. These aren't solid rust, they're living bacterial colonies that drip like orange icicles. But here's what makes the footage terrifying. Personal belongings are still there. A leather boot, perfectly preserved by the cold, oxygen-deprived water. A porcelain doll lying on what was once a cabin floor. Reading glasses. A hairbrush. These items survived 112 years underwater, while the ship around them slowly dissolves. This was the most iconic part of the ship, an ornate wooden staircase with carved panels and a glass dome skylight. The wood is completely gone. What remains is the steel support structure, twisted and collapsing. The dome shattered decades ago. What the drone shows is a massive opening where the staircase used to be. Now a debris-filled shaft dropping multiple decks into darkness. The drone descended through this shaft. The footage shows twisted metal beams, collapsed ceilings, and sediment covering everything. At certain angles, you can still see the outline of where staircase landings used to be. It's like looking at a skeleton where the body has rotted away. First-class passengers ate in a room that could seat 500 people. The drone's lights illuminate what's left. It's essentially a cavern of rust and collapsed ceiling panels. The tables are gone. The chairs are gone. What remains are floor supports and wall brackets where fixtures used to attach. But here's the disturbing part. You can still see the tile floor pattern. But the tiles underneath are still there, preserved perfectly, marking out where each table would have been positioned. It's a ghost image of luxury frozen in decay. It's not what you see, it's what it represents. The Titanic isn't a museum piece resting peacefully on the ocean floor. It's an active decomposition site where biology, chemistry, and pressure are systematically destroying every trace of the ship. Rusticles are alive. They're not rust deposits. They're bacterial colonies called RMS Titanic, discovered on the wreck and named after it. These bacteria consume iron. They form long, dripping structures that look like orange-brown icicles. The drone footage shows rusticles everywhere, hanging from ceilings, covering walls, dripping from bed frames. They're eating the ship from the inside out. Scientists estimate these bacteria consume 200 pounds of iron per day from the wreck. The Titanic was 46,000 tons of steel when it sank. At current rates of decay, the structural integrity will fail within 15 to 20 years. The ship won't disappear. It'll collapse into a massive pile of oxidized debris indistinguishable from the ocean floor. But here's what makes the interior footage specifically disturbing. When you see exterior shots of Titanic, it still looks like a ship. You see the bow, the hull, the recognizable shape. When the drone goes inside, You see the reality, it's already mostly gone. The interiors have collapsed into unrecognizable tangles of metal and sediment. What looks intact from outside is hollow and crumbling inside. The pressure at that depth is 6,000 psi, 400 times atmospheric pressure. Every square inch of the ship has 6,000 pounds of force pressing on it. Human bodies would be crushed instantly. The drone's cameras show walls bulging inward, ceilings sagging, floors buckling. The ship is being compressed by the ocean itself. And the darkness. No light reaches 12,500 feet. The drone's lights illuminate maybe 15-20 feet ahead. Beyond that is absolute black. The footage shows the lights sweeping across rooms, and when they move, everything beyond the light's reach disappears into darkness, so complete your brain can't process it. It's like watching someone explore a cave that's actively collapsing. Here's what most people don't know. Large sections of Titanic are now too dangerous to explore. The ship is in two main pieces, the bow section and the stern section, separated by a debris field. The bow is relatively intact. The stern is catastrophically destroyed. The stern section imploded during the sinking. When Titanic broke in half, the stern section filled with air pockets. As it sank, those air pockets compressed and then explosively decompressed, essentially blowing the stern apart from the inside. The drone footage of the stern shows twisted metal, collapsed decks, pancaked on top of each other, and interior rooms exposed to open water because the walls are just gone. Second-class and third-class areas were in the stern. These rooms are now inaccessible, not because they're intact and closed off, but because they don't exist as recognizable rooms anymore. They're crushed into compacted layers of debris. The drone can't navigate through them because there's no through anymore, just compressed wreckage. But here's the haunting reality. Over 1,500 people died when Titanic sank. Most of their bodies were never recovered. They went down with the ship. Human remains don't survive at that depth. The cold water, pressure, and scavenger organisms consume everything organic within weeks. But what the drone footage shows, the boots. The drone filmed a pair of boots lying together, which preserves better than fabric. When you see two boots positioned as if someone was wearing them, lying on the ocean floor surrounded by debris, you're looking at where a person died 112 years ago. Their body is gone. The boots remain. The Titanic is in terminal decline. A 2022 study, published in Frontiers in Marine Science, analyzed decay rates and predicted the ship's structural collapse within 20 years, possibly sooner. The bacteria consuming the iron are accelerating. The ship is weaker every year. The 2010 expedition found the crow's nest had collapsed. This was the lookout position where Frederick Fleet spotted the iceberg. In 1985, when Robert Ballard discovered the wreck, the crow's nest was intact. By 2010, it had fallen off the mast. It was completely gone, dissolved into rust. The 2019 expedition found the officers' quarters have collapsed. These rooms were on the boat deck behind the bridge. In previous footage from the 1990s, you could see into the rooms through windows. The 2019 drone showed the entire section had caved in. The walls, roof, everything collapsed into rubble. But here's the most concerning discovery from the 2022 footage. The hull is breaching. Small holes have appeared in sections that were intact just 10 years ago. Ocean water is penetrating new areas, accelerating decay in sections that were relatively protected. Once water gets into sealed compartments, bacterial activity explodes. The decay isn't linear. It's exponential. Marine archaeologists estimate that by 2040, the Titanic will no longer be recognizable as a ship. It'll be a debris field with some structural elements visible. But the iconic bow section, the part that looks like Titanic, will have collapsed. By 2060, it'll essentially be gone. Rust, sediment, bacterial mats. The largest and most famous shipwreck in history will become indistinguishable from the ocean floor. The drone footage from 2022 might be the last clear interior documentation we get. Future expeditions will likely find rooms that are accessible today collapsed and inaccessible tomorrow. The grand staircase opening that the ROV used to enter might collapse, sealing off entire sections permanently. There's a push to do complete digital documentation before it's too late. Using photogrammetry, taking thousands of photos from different angles and stitching them into 3D models, researchers are trying to create a complete digital twin of the wreck. The 2022 expedition captured 715,000 images. These will be processed into the most detailed 3D model of Titanic ever created. But here's the race against time. Every year, more of the ship collapses. Rooms that could be filmed in 2020 can't be accessed in 2024. By 2030, significant sections will be gone. The window for comprehensive documentation is closing fast. The footage the drone captured in 2022 shows a ship in its final years. Not decades, years. The bacterial colonies are thriving. The structure is weakening. The ocean is reclaiming the Titanic faster than anyone predicted when the wreck was discovered in 1985. What's terrifying about the footage isn't the decay. Decay is natural. It's the speed. The Titanic survived 73 years on the ocean floor before it was found. In the 39 years since discovery, it's deteriorated more than in the previous 7 decades. Human exploration, the lights, the submersibles bumping into it, the disturbance has accelerated the decay. The act of documenting the wreck is helping destroy it. The drone went inside the Titanic and filmed rooms that will never be seen again. Not because they're hidden, but because soon they won't exist. The footage is terrifying because it's a countdown to the moment when the most famous ship in history becomes nothing more than an orange stain on the Atlantic floor. And these videos are all that remains.